The return of Topps Chrome Basketball has been an utter failure. I want to talk through that today. Specifically, some examples of some of these terribly photoshopped cards that I'm sure you guys have seen, but more importantly, point you in the direction of some content creators that have done a really good job talking about these issues, and also highlight the hypocrisy with some of these breakers that are clearly talking up this product when it's actually trash. And I want to highlight that as an example for you guys on maybe who to avoid, and maybe call out some of these other people that are doing the same sort of thing when clearly this product is not what it lived up to. And this is nothing really new. I sort of envisaged this would happen months ago when this was first announced in terms of the release. We touched on it again 3 weeks ago when we actually saw what the product was going to look like, and that was sort of the hypocritical nature of maybe these breakers and content creators that are clearly trying to be aligned to Topps in terms of sponsorships, or trying to maintain allocations, or trying to get more money from you as a breaker, or them as breakers and you as customers. Because what we touched on was, in the past, people talked down to unlicensed product like Leaf, like Panini Baseball, but all of a sudden would start praising this sort of thing. And that sort of happened almost immediately and to a T, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. It was pretty clear that people were praising this sort of thing, even though it contradicted all the investment advice and all the stuff they talked about years prior about how that stuff wasn't worth buying. And, part of the reason why I think people did that was because the way this was marketed by Topps, right? They talked about this thing being the return of one of the most important brands in their portfolio, right? Topps Chrome returning to basketball was a big deal, right? Topps Chrome and basketball essentially went hand in hand for a long time as being so amazing. And the refractors in that set and in those sets over the years were amazing, right? There were things that collectors actually wanted and things that still commanded premiums even today, in the Panini era. So I can understand why people were excited to sort of see it return, even though it was unlicensed, because, Topps talked about it, like I said, as being so amazing. And what sort of happened in recent weeks ahead of the release was something like this video over here, where we talked about how the cards in this set were not Topps Chrome, and it looked nothing like Topps Chrome, and it raised serious questions about, where Fanatics and Topps were heading with this kind of thing. Because, like I just said, they talked about this thing as being the return of something amazing, right? Something that collectors had to wait, 14 years for. I think they even referenced it as being like the return of the Renaissance era or something along those lines. So the Fanatics and Topps to place so much emphasis on this returning and amazing thing, all of a sudden see what these cards look like in terms of the sneak peek, ahead of the release, was, a few eyebrows being raised. It was like, guys, you're saying this is amazing, but you've showed us this? Like, that does not look that good. What are you doing? This is not Topps Chrome. This is weird. And then what we sort of saw in the last week or so since the release was that emphasized even further, because we actually started to see what these cards look like, and they look worse than the sneak peeks, right? Some terrible photoshops here, and there are dozens and dozens of examples. I'm just going to show you a select few now, but it's just pretty alarming given how much emphasis Topps and Fanatics actually placed on the return of these cards, very low value efforts. And you can sort of see that here with this terrible Photoshop. The waist just looks hilarious. It's like, guys, put a bit more effort, make it look a little bit more better. Or look a little bit better. There's no such thing as more better. There's some more examples here, obviously, of some terrible Photoshops. I'm not sure which player it is. Is that De'Aaron Fox? I could be right. I could be wrong. Let me know down in the comments. But just clearly, like, it looks giant over here, but then tiny over here. It just looks very lazy. Looks weird. Very poorly edited. This LeBron one is pretty hilarious because he's obviously dribbling, but where's the basketball? Like, firstly, it looks like it's a ripoff of Color Blast. I don't really care about that, to be honest. Companies can lean on each other all they want, but a 2-second effort here from Mind Cycle Cards, putting the ball there, it just looks a heck of a lot better, right? And just little things like that have sort of been missed. And, one here from Wax Museum and also Mind Cycle, where somebody was busting up in the packs. I think it was somebody from Kentucky Card Vault. And I think this was meant to be a gold refractor, but clearly nothing was printed on there, and this was not meant to enter into the pack itself. So another like QC error, further iterating that it's maybe a low value effort from this company. And you can sort of get that pretty clearly by how poorly these cards were designed, etc. There's also some weird things in here with a Noah Clowney, which might be, somebody else signing for him in the set. You can sort of see here from his Panini cards, the N is like one stroke, whereas this one is now done in 2. Now this one over here from the Panini cards all match every other auto he's signed in terms of how that N is spelt. This one on the tops looks very different, as does the E. Could he have just changed his autograph? Sure, but this is just one to watch because maybe the auto's fake as well in this set. Who knows? But the other sort of person to reference is Wax Museum Podcast, because he put out a video today that goes for about 10 minutes, and he did a really good job talking about this. He's somebody that I watch all the time. He's got some really cool refractor sets from Topps Chrome. So when people are sort of talking about it, him and Mind Cycle Cards go hand in hand, in my opinion. when they're talking about what Topps Chrome is meant to be, why it's so important for trading card history, and sort of why they like it, and more importantly, why what you're sort of seeing with this new release is not aligned with anything they've seen in the past with what Topps Chrome is meant to be. It's not anything like what Topps Chrome is meant to be, I should say. Here's another example here of a poorly photoshopped hand. There's clearly a thumb missing. And some other, examples that he shows within his video. I think this is what I referenced a little bit earlier, where you've got Topps talking about it as being a Renaissance era. Again, talking about this thing being super amazing, the return of something amazing, yet coming out with like low value Photoshop efforts like that, coming out with terrible QC like you're sort of seeing, over here. It's like, guys, what are you doing? You're talking about this thing being so important, so pivotal to your brand, yet you're putting in this effort. So what does that sort of mean for the future, right? Was this just a cash grab? You guys so eager to cash in on the Wemby hype and the fact that LeBron was signing again, that you could put some low effort, cards out there into the market, terrible Photoshops, low QC, and you just knew that people would buy it. So you just wanted to make as much money as possible, totally disregarding your customers, even though in the same breath that you were talking about how amazing this set was, you were basically giving us that kind of crap. It's a weird thing to me, and it really concerns me about, future releases from them, because if they're prepared to do this to Topps Chrome, which I think I said earlier, marketed as the most prestigious brand within their, portfolio, being this amazing thing, Topps Chrome being so integral to, the brand of basketball and the brand of basketball cards, that you're going to do this to it. It's like, what are you going to do to everything else? Could you not just wait a year or two until you got the, full licenses to actually treat it with the respect it deserves? Could you have just released this under a different brand? Because, the way breakers and content creators have pushed this, you would have sold like hotcakes irrespective of whether or not it was Topps Chrome. And when you look at it from the burning bridges perspective, right, was it really worth harming the brand of Topps Chrome in order just to get this out there and cash in on that hype? I don't know. And it just seems like a complete miss from them as a business, and just really concerns me, like I've said a few times now, about the long-term offerings from them. Like if they're prepared to do it with this, I'll say it again, what are they going to do to the stuff that maybe the hobby doesn't actually care about? This is one of those things where all the eyes were meant to be on this. So the fact that you're doing it when all the eyes are on it, it's like, what are you going to do for everything else? Now, I can't recall if I mentioned earlier, but Wax Museum, like I said, did a 10-minute video. Please check this out, because he needs to be heard just as much as Mind Cycle Cards does. Because when you're talking about this kind of stuff, these are the collectors that are actually important to sort of listen to, because they've been around for a long time. They've been collecting it their whole life. And if they're saying it's crap, you sort of need to understand why. Not listen to these content creators that are saying it's amazing, or listen to these breakers like the Blez brothers that say it's amazing. Now, again, I could have referenced the video directly, but I wanted to shout out Mind Cycle Cards again, because he deserves a shout out for, laughing in their face, essentially. In this video over here, the Blez brothers, the breakers, were saying it doesn't matter if it's not licensed, it doesn't matter, if it's not that, good, it's Topps Chrome, it's worth getting into, it's worth buying, etc. You've got a breaker here clearly telling you this thing's amazing, when in reality it's not. And you check out, social media, and everyone's saying it's trash. If the Blez brothers are saying it's amazing and you should be buying it because it's Topps Chrome, it doesn't matter about anything else. It's like, no, it does matter that it looks like crap. It does matter that you've printed Wemby orders to death. It does matter that you've done low QC. It does matter that the Photoshop is terrible. Because you know what truly matters? The fact that nobody's going to give a shit about it in a few years' time, when, that Topps Chrome brand hopefully comes back as it's meant to be. But irrespective of that, you're basically saying this thing's worth buying when nobody's going to want it, in 5 years. Even if Topps Chrome never returns, nobody's going to want this thing in the future. This thing is always going to be in value bins because it's crap. It's low effort stuff. It looks like shit. So the fact you got breakers praising it tells you all you need to know. And the people that have been praising it, including content creators, should be avoided. The same as these breakers, right? Because they've clearly shown the money they can make off the back of a sponsorship from a Topps or Fanatics, or the money they can make from you from this particular break, is above and beyond the respect they can get from you guys and the money long term. Like, I just don't get how a breaker could sit there and say, yes, guys, buy this sort of stuff. And you sit there and watch some of these breaks, and I won't reference them specifically, but there's guys out there that are saying, like, they're going crazy when these hits get hit. And it's like what you see with, backyard breaks and all that sort of stuff, right? Where they're saying it's so amazing. Oh, that's a Tesla, all that kind of crap. It's like, guys, this thing is shit. And the breakers that are sort of praising it like that should be told to F off, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Because the real ones out there are the ones saying, you know what, don't buy this. This is shit. Do not buy it. Those are the only people that you really should be listening to in this instance, because guess what? They're telling you the truth, and they're showing you the respect you deserve as a customer, and they are the ones that maybe deserve your money long term. Now, just because somebody's saying it's bad doesn't mean they're trustworthy, etc. But you guys get where I'm going with that statement. I'm just shocked that people are out there praising this sort of thing, and they need to be called out. And I've seen the Blez brothers do it. I've seen a few breakers, other breakers here and there that I can't recall offhand right now, but for the most part, people have treated this as it should be, and is a set that is not in Topps Chrome. It's probably not worth your money and should be avoided like the plague. Like, yes, you could buy it if you want singles for your team sets and your PC, but don't be spending, a premium for this sort of stuff. Don't be thinking you're going to get rich off the back of this sort of stuff in terms of investing in sealed wax and all that kind of jazz. It's just wild to me. And the one thing I want to quickly add as well, because some people are sort of going after all breakers that are selling this. Like, I don't have an issue at all if somebody wants to make money off the back of selling this product. It's just how they're going about doing it. Like, there's nothing wrong with making a few bucks to feed your family, to have some fun in a break and selling it, versus the guys that are out there charging the normal premiums that we see and telling you it's an investment and you're going to get rich off the back of it and all that kind of crap. And they're sitting there in those breaks and getting you to buy more and more and more by, egging you on and telling you that it's amazing to buy into. It's like, guys, there's chalk and cheese, right? There's some breakers out there that are sort of doing it the right way, and there are a lot of breakers out there that are doing it really poorly, and they deserve to be called out. Now, let me know your thoughts down below. I went on a ramble for this one. I just think it's just crazy. I just can't comprehend how they as a business could come out and praise this thing as amazingly as they have and talked about being the return, the best thing since sliced bread, right? And they've come out and dished up what they've actually dished up. It's like, guys, what are you freaking doing? You're saying one thing, but then you do this. Like, what in the heck are you guys doing? It makes no sense to me. Maybe you guys can make sense of it down in the comments below. Share your thoughts as always. Before I let you go, though, I want to give a quick thank you. I mentioned at the end of the last video that I've had some issues with the algorithm in the last month or so. It's been like that for most of the year, actually, where a lot of my videos aren't getting pushed, and I don't know why. This is despite having, really high engagement and likes and all that sort of thing. And I just asked if you guys could share the video and like it, and you guys did that in the last video, and that actually helped a lot. I think that's why it got so many views. So if you can do that again, that would be really appreciative. But if you can't, that's obviously still okay. We'll just keep trying to battle the algorithm over the coming months. It's been a bit funky, like I said. I don't know what the heck is going on, but it is what it is. I make these videos to educate and have discussions, not for my own pride or to make money, because I certainly don't do any of those two things all that well with this channel. So, it is what it is. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.